Welcome back, Nats fans, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. And what a finish that was at Nats Park as the Nationals hang on to beat the Marlins 3-2. Andrew Stevenson makes a heck of a catch in left field to take a triple, maybe an inside the park home run away from D. Gordon. And the Nats rally from 2-0 down. They get a huge home run from Brian Goodwin in the eighth inning to take the lead. And the bullpen big three trio of Kinsler, Madsen, and Doolittle does it again. The Nats take 3 out of 4 from the Marlins. They're now up 15 games in the National League East, and the magic number down to 35. It seems still low, but, I mean, that's amazing. The number is at 35. We're only here on August 10th. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're getting to the offense. Struggled a little bit against Dan Straley early, but worked their way out of it. We'll talk about the bullpen. Trey Turner has been taking ground balls at shortstop, so that's a great sign. Hopefully working his way back really soon. So everything turning in the right direction for the Nationals. They had a shorthanded bench tonight. Anthony Rendon got in at bat, but Howie Kendrick was not available, and Andrew Stevenson, we said, was the hero. And you think back to when they took him in the second round of LSU a couple of years ago, his defense was his number one tool. I mean, he had good contacting ability, but he was one of the best defensive center fielders in the country a couple of years ago. So there's a reason why he's out there. Yes, he's playing left field, but why Dusty goes to him in the late innings for a defensive replacement. So while his bat has not exactly contributed, he's helping the big league club defensively. And you look at Stevenson, Goodwin, Adrian Sanchez, another hit tonight. The guys that weren't supposed to do much this year are really helping this team. But feel free to send a question in the chat room here on the YouTube page. You can also tweet me on Twitter at district.deck or at Rickinator555. And let's get to the totals. Nationals with 3 runs on 7 hits, no errors. The Marlins 2 runs on 6 hits, no errors. Ryan Madsen gets the win out of relief, throws a scoreless 8th inning, strikes out 2, and threw 100 miles an hour. I mean, I don't think anybody ever expected he could do that. Junichi Tazawa takes the loss, gave up a Goodwin home run and a Wilmer Defoe infield single in the 8th inning. Both starters got the no decision. I think Straley was a little better than Roark, but you got to give Roark credit. He battled his way out of it. Let's check who's in the chat before we start breaking this down. What's up, Seth? And StatCast had that as a 55% catch probability on the Stevenson play. That's actually pretty high there. I thought that'd be a lot lower because that ball was tailing away from him. I'm kind of surprised it's that low, but thanks, Seth, for the StatCast numbers. That one's really surprising. That makes that catch greater than it actually was. You look at Tanner Roark's outing. We're going to start with him a little bit. I thought he was okay. I mean, to me tonight, one of the big problems he had was just not finishing hitters with 2 strikes. I mean, how many times you saw Yelich foul off a lot of pitches? He walked Christian Yelich 3 times. Marcell Ozuna fouled off a lot of pitches against him. I'm looking at the totals these for the pitches between the two of them right now, pulling that up via ESPN. Yelich saw 27 pitches in 4 at-bats. Ozuna saw 24 and 5 at-bats, and Gordon saw 24. A lot of those coming in that last at-bat, but the Marlins have done a good job all week of working up the pitch count for these starting pitchers. So Roark did have 2 intentional walks in this ball game, but 3 walks to 1 player, you never like to see that happen. Yelich does have 11 walks against Roark in his career. The one mistake pitch he made was he threw a fastball to Stanton over the heart of the plate. You can't do that. I mean, Chelsea Janes of the Washington Post did a good job on Twitter pointing out that Stanton hadn't hit a slider all series, but he's been crushing fastballs. So why in the scouting report would you even throw Giancarlo Stanton a fastball? I know D. Gordon led off the inning with a base hit, but I'd rather take my chances with Yelich than take him with Stanton, who's at 39 home runs right now. He's been on fire since the home run derby. So don't anybody tell you the home run derby ruins the swing. It actually probably has helped Stanton swing. And I'm just glad he's healthy. I said that earlier this week. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players in baseball. And it stinks for him that he's on a bad team right now. But he's definitely one of the faces of the game when he's on the field. No question about it. Nats did not do anything for 5 innings. Give Dan Straley credit. He had a good changeup working. Mixed in the fastball and the other pitches. And then the Nats got to in the 6th inning. And I think they did a good job playing some small ball. And it started with Adrian Sanchez, who got the start at third base tonight. Anthony Rendon feeling under the weather, so he got a night off, at least to start. And Sanchez gets a double down the left field line. I know a lot of people are going to question, or at least were questioning at the time, the decision to leave Tanner Roark into bunt. I know a lot of you out there don't like bunting. I understand that. You're giving away outs. I get it. This team has played small ball extremely well this week. So if you can get the runner over to third, you get Goodwin and Defoe with 2 chances to drive in a run, you do that because the Marlins bullpen with A.J. Ramos traded, David Phelps traded, Kyle Barraclough out, they're depleted. They're not the same bullpen as they were earlier in the year. So you get a run there, even if you're still down 2-1, your bullpen's going to keep you in the game, which is amazing. I don't think we would have said that in May. The bullpen keeps you in the game, but you have 3 more innings to score runs. It wasn't like the bottom of the 9th where you have to bring up Rendon there or bring up Kendrick if he was healthy to tie. Remember, your bench was depleted too. So if Roark was not going to come out for the 7th, you're just going to have him bump the ball, which you did a nice job. Brian Goodwin picks up the base hit to right, and then 2 batters later, Bryce Harper doubles off the scoreboard and right field to tie the game. He has been on fire this series in terms of driving in runs. I don't have the exact number of RBIs he's had this series. He only saw 8 pitches and 4 bats the entire night, so he was really aggressive at the plate. And he had an RBI in all 4 games, 6 RBIs total, and had 5 hits in the series. So not a bad series for Harper, who's hitting over 300 this month. And the RBI total for him, well into the 80s right now. It is at 87. So he's nearing a 100 RBI season at least for him this year. And then you look at the bullpen. I love what Kinsler did. He gave up the leadoff hit to Gordon, but Matt Wieters, who, again, we've ripped on a lot, he's had a good week. I mean, threw out D. Gordon. That's not easy to do. Good tag by Murphy. That saved the inning. And then Kinsler got Stanton to, I think it was to ground out to Murphy. And then he got Yelich to strike out swinging. So Kinsler, a.k.a. the Rhino, has been excellent. But the MVP of the bullpen has been Ryan Madsen. I mean, nobody thought this guy would throw 100 miles an hour out there. And he just goes out there. It's effortless for him. He's got 13 strikeouts. Or I think it's 12 strikeouts. 12 strikeouts since being traded to the Nationals. I don't think anybody thought that. I mean, there are people out there making the case for him to be a closer, and I like Sean Doolittle there, but Matt's making it hard for me to argue. Doolittle did give up the double to Miguel Rojas, which was a bloop double. It's not really, Doolittle didn't exactly give any hard contact. Then you had Real Muto pinch hit, moved him over to third, and then the great play by Stevenson to end the ball game. So let's look here at the chat room, what we got here. A lot of people here in the chat room. Larry Jacobs, 2013, is here. So, Larry, welcome. Glad to have you here. And he says, I'm warming up to Brian Goodwin. He can hit 20 home runs this season. What do you think? He's at 13 right now, Larry, and 20 is interesting. I think it's going to come down to how much playing time he gets in September because Michael Taylor is still on a rehab assignment. He'll be back soon. Jason Worth hopefully go on a rehab assignment in a week or 2. I could definitely see him over 15. I mean, I think that's not a given, but pretty close to it. I think he'll get close to 20. So I would not be surprised if he hit 20. He's been a good power hitter in the leadoff spot. But I don't think anybody would have thought 20 home runs or even close to that from Brian Goodwin this year. So he has had a remarkable year, and he took that pitch from Tazawa, put it in the second deck in right field. Just an absolute home run. Judo says, spirit spot on the bench, have him bunt. Yeah, I would agree. And he's worth it for the bench next year, though the Nats, Judo, have a lot of outfield depth in their organization. And they have Stevenson. Can't forget Rafael Bautista, who has been hurt for part of the year. You have Taylor. You have Goodwin. You have Eaton coming back. There's a lot of outfield depth here. So they can make a decision if they have a need to go out and maybe use one of these guys as trade chips. I mean, that's their outfield depth is pretty good in the organization. So to have these guys contribute the way they are is pretty good. Was that Kinsler's first strikeout with the Nationals? I don't believe so. Let's double check that for you real quick. I believe he's had that was, I believe, his second strikeout. So he has had one before. He's not a strikeout guy. So that's why I think he's kind of perfect for the 7th inning, so to keep the ground balls going. Because the hitters are going to adjust to a new pitcher. Maybe that's the perfect role for him because he's done a good job. And you could say, well, why did you trade for a 7th inning guy? But the former Twins closer has been excellent, to say the least. I mean, all 3 guys. I mean, Doolittle's had his rough moments, but all 3 have been really good. And it made you feel a lot more calm when you watch the end of the game. I do love the do chants. So nice job, Nats fans. If you're listening tomorrow and you were at the game, good job with the do chants. I love those. And go out and buy the do shirt for Players Weekend. I wrote about that today. I love those jerseys. Judo says, I'd like to see a trial with Mads in the closer role. I like Doolittle, but I think we need to see our options before the postseason. I think Do is professional enough to understand and accept it. Well, I also think, Judo, you're not going to see all three pitch in a game the whole year. I think you'll get closer chances for Madsen at some point. Maybe there's a night where Doolittle gets a night off and Madsen gets a chance to pitch. Because it's been really weird that the Nats have had it where all three pitch on the same game like every time. And it's just not going to happen like that the final 49 games of the season. I mean, you're going to have nights where you have to use one or two of these guys. So I think Mats will get chances just by default. I don't think you have to necessarily take the job away from Sean Doolittle. But I think Doolittle has come a long way since those hectic outings he had to start his Nats career. He's looked much more calm. He's throwing 96, 97. I have confidence in him in the closer spot. I know Madsen has been out of this world, but Doolittle in his own right has been good. And Ron and I have kept making the point that he's done nothing to lose the job. I know maybe you'd be more comfortable with Madsen in the playoffs, and Madsen's had his bad playoff moments too, even though he's been great in his career at it. Kinsler K2 in his first Nats appearance, so now it's actually 3 strikeouts. So thanks to Judo for the correction on that. Looking at I like to look again at the pitches that hitters saw, because I like to use that as an indicator of how you work the count. Nobody saw 20 pitches tonight, so that's very aggressive at the plate. And Zimmerman saw the most at 18. Murphy saw 17. Went 0 for 3, but at least he was back in the lineup tonight with that hip injury. Sanchez saw 7, which is weird. Tanner Roark, who saw more pitches than Adrian Sanchez did. Again, that's kind of just the weirdness of the stat. One of my favorite stats is pitches per plate appearance because it kind of shows who works the count, but it's not indicative of player success because you can have guys that are aggressive free swingers. Look at Michael Taylor, swings at the first pitch and he's excellent at it. Same with Defoe, who had a hit tonight. Everybody had a hit except Zimmerman and Murphy. And Matt Wieters had another hit. He's now got 6 hits against Straley in his career. But I like the way this offense has continued to I know they had a home run tonight with Goodwin. I like that the small ball aspect of this team, and I'm going to write about it more for tomorrow, especially with Sanchez, who's 8 for 11 this month. This team does a good job of not only getting the home runs, but they're moving the runners over. They're getting productive outs, and you need that in October. I keep stressing that all week, but it's a big number. I mean, outside of Zimmerman's 2 home runs last night, you had Goodwin's homer today. There wasn't really a lot of home runs in this series, and that's a good thing. You can't rely on the home run every night to be successful. So I like what the Nationals have done. I think it's going to change when you get Trey Turner back and you get Michael Taylor back and you can maybe add more speed to this offense. Brian Goodwin had a stolen base tonight, his 5th of the year. But there's a way, I think, to have both aspects of the offense work where you hit home runs, but you also get the small ball going because in October, that's going to win you games. And, of course, your bench will be more deep by then, I would think, because Adam Lynn will go to the bench and he'll hopefully break some pinch hit records this year. Kendrick on the bench is going to be solid. And I know people still argue with, all right, Jason Wirth shouldn't be the left fielder. I wrote about that the other day when I wrote about Kendrick. Well, I don't get the rush to take Jason Wirth out of the lineup. I know you can lose your starting spot due to injury. But let's remember, they're not going to – I don't think in September they're going to play Jason Wirth every day. I mean, they're going to go – I think they're going to give Goodwin opportunities. Remember, they could also platoon Goodwin with Taylor, at least to start off with. So Brian Goodwin's going to get his playing time when people come back. It's not exactly Goodwin hits the bench and doesn't play again. I think having this big lead and when you eventually clinch the division and you're not going to get the 1 seed, you're 11 and a half behind the Dodgers or 12 games, something like that. So you have the lead there. You have a comfortable lead right now in terms of the 2 seed, which would get you home field in the first round. So Dusty Baker can some nights play Goodwin in left, some nights play Kendrick in left, some nights play Wirth in left. They're going to be time that Dusty has to be creative with the lineup, and Goodwin can be a really good asset off the bench against left-handed pitching. So I think it'd be good thing tonight. Yeah, I don't know about Judo. Max with the blue eye. I did see your suggestions with the whole Maxulate. I wish Judo he took your idea, but I did like a lot of the other ideas. Let me talk about Tanner Roark because I think that's an interesting question here. As I said before, I think he's been good. Definitely been much better since the All-Star break. And that's a good sign. The fastball, as Chelsea James pointed out during the game, has dropped a little bit. Was dropping to like 89 in the middle of the game, but he did a nice job of making his pitches. He got the ground ball to Moore with bases loaded after they intentionally walked Dietrich. That was huge. And just to keep the team in the game, that's all Roark has to do as the 4-star. We talk about Roark and Jackson and Cole. They don't really have a lot of expectations in my book. The expectations are on Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Gio Gonzalez. That's it. Roark, to me, can go out there. He just has to do better finishing off hitters. I mean, you can't keep getting that pitch count up there almost at 110. He threw 107 pitches for 68 strikes. That number's got to be a little bit lower. So if he's more economical with his pitches, I think he'd be off to a good start. Yes, Seth, we went into the whole football thing. Football did start preseason tonight. And Larry, I agree with you. Adrian Sanchez hasn't been very impressive. I mean, he had good numbers at Syracuse. He was a good 2-hitter. So those who I know a lot of the DC media talks about why you put Adrian Sanchez second. Well, look at his numbers with the Chiefs. He was almost a 300 hitter with the Chiefs in the 2 spot in about 20 games. So Dusty knows these things. Dusty, I'm sure, sees those numbers. And Sanchez and Defoe are the best bunters position players on the team. You have to play differently. So I agree with you, Larry. I love what Sanchez is doing. So let me look at here. Gio says, most games you watch with your grandparents, and my grandma says he's good. He may hit a home run whenever Bryce or Rendon has a plate appearance. It feels that way. Rendon tonight takes the first pitch he sees and takes it to the track and left. So give Anthony Rendon credit. It's tough to do coming off the bench. And Harper is just Harper. I mean, when he's locked in the way he is, and yeah, he hasn't hit many home runs. Hasn't hit one since Saturday, which again is not a drought for him, but he's still driving in runs, and that's important. Especially when you look again at this month, 10 hits, couple home runs, first double in a while. I think that's his first double. I'm going to look at the numbers here just to be on the safe side. This is first double. I'm going to look here again. I'm putting the dramatic effect here since July 27th. He hadn't had a double in a long time. So not a bad time for your first double in about a couple weeks. So let's take a look here. The Nationals again go to 68-45, and I know Steph asked, "Well, who do the Nats play next?" Well, they're going to be still home for the next 5 games, and they're going to be at home this weekend for a 3-game set against the San Francisco Giants, who have been arguably the worst team in baseball this year. A lot of injuries for this team, but start with Mass and Bumgarner on the dirt bike. Nats swept them back in May at AT&T Park. Of course, we all remember the whole Hunter Strickland, Bryce Harper thing. I wonder if that pops up this weekend at some point. But you got Chris Stratton, who's a rookie, taking out Edwin Jackson tomorrow night. You've got Jeff Samardzija and Max Scherzer on Saturday, and Matt Moore against A.J. Cole on Sunday. So you avoid Bumgarner, which is a good thing. Other than that, there's not really anybody you fear on this Giants team. They still have Posey. They still have Panic. They have Panda. Panda comes back. Pablo Sandoval's with the Giants. And I'm sure Nats fans are not exactly fond of Sandoval after the big hit he had a couple years ago at Nats Park in the postseason. But this is still really good. The Giants have some good offensive pieces, but they're not a team right now. Mark Melancon, I know, was on a rehab assignment. I don't know if he's going to be back for this series, but he's been hurt this year. Has not lived up to that contract. And it's been a rough year for Bruce Bochy's club. And you read about, I read, I think, in USA Today, I think Bob Nightingale wrote the piece about how maybe last year's loss to the Cubs has really affected how this team's played this year. Remember, the Giants had to go through like 5 relievers last year in the playoffs, and they should have gotten to a Game 5 with Chicago, and they did not get it done. I don't know how much tickets would cost. I can't imagine them being that expensive. It is the Giants. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I think the Nats will play well in this series. I think they're on a good roll right now. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and that's important. Remember, they don't really have any tough teams left in their schedule outside of Houston and Los Angeles in September. So it's all Milwaukee at the end of the month. Can't ignore Milwaukee. So like 3 more tough series coming up. Pittsburgh in September, I'll throw as an if. That could be a tough one, depending if the Pirates are in it or not. But outside of that, not really any great series for the Nats. As long as they take care of business, they'll be just fine. Let's take a look around the division here to the rest of the league. The Braves have the night off tonight. They are going to be in St. Louis tomorrow for a 3-game set. And the Mets and the Phillies were in action tonight. Mets won 10-0. An impressive performance by Jacob deGrom. 6 2/3, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts. He did leave the game taking a comebacker in the 7th, but looks like he'll be fine. So that's great news for the Mets, who hit 4 home runs in this game. Wilmer Flores, Neil Walker, Michael Conforto, who's now in the cleanup spot due to the Jay Bruce trade, and Curtis Granderson. Neil Walker's playing third base. I know Wilmer Flores had 3 hits tonight at first, but the Mets are going to be calling up one of their top prospects tomorrow, Dominic Smith, at first base. So he's going to be their first baseman of the future with Rosario at short. So at least they see what those guys have. And the Phillies debuted one of their top prospects, left fielder Rhys Hoskins, who had 29 home runs in the International League. They haven't been able to put him at first base since Tommy Joseph has played well there. So Hoskins is going to play the outfield for now, and he's got good power. So you get a chance, take a look at those 2 guys, Smith and Hoskins, really good top prospects. Miami will be at home tomorrow against Colorado. So chance of the Nats maybe to get that magic number even shorter because Colorado's playing really well right now. Elsewhere in the National League, not a lot of games today. The Pirates beat the Tigers 7-5, so a nice win for Pittsburgh, who continues to stay alive in the Central. How about the St. Louis Cardinals? They just continue to win. You saw last night the whole rally cat on the field, and Yadier Molina hits a grand slam on the next pitch. I thought that was really cool. Right now, Kansas City has bases loaded, 1 out in the top of the 8th, but St. Louis leads 7-3. And if the Cardinals win this game, they will be just 1 game behind the Cubs in the National League Central. So now you have to start talking about St. Louis as a legitimate threat to potentially play the Nats in the playoffs. So the Cardinals are going to be this hot right now, and their offense is playing well. They have good weapons with Carpenter and Yadier Molina, and Tommy Pham's playing good. I like their pitching, too, with Martinez, and tonight they threw out there on the mound. I'll get the pitcher here. They threw out Lance Lynn, who threw 2 runs over 6. He's been a quality starter for them this year. 5 RBIs for Dexter Fowler tonight. Colt Wong has played better. And the guy I like is Paul DeJong at shortstop. So the Cardinals with a win would pull within the game. Pittsburgh's within 3 games in the Central right now. So that NL Central is wide open. And keep in mind that Wilson Contreras injury with the Cubs. He's going to be out at least a couple of weeks. So he's been one of their better offensive hitters lately. Milwaukee, the Cubs keep letting Milwaukee back in. The Brewers just don't want to take advantage. The Twins are dominating 7-2 after 6 innings. Dietrich Enns made his debut for the Twins tonight. Only went 2 1/3 innings. Rough night for Kyle Davies. Gave 6 earned and 5 2/3. And, of course, the Dodgers and their 80 wins. They're up 3-0 on Arizona in the top of the 2nd inning. So they just keep winning. Enrique Hernandez with a double and 3 RBIs so far. That pitching matchup is Yu Darvish, who struck out 2 in the 1st inning, against Anthony Banda, who we saw in his Major League debut against the Nats a few weeks ago. So Dodgers looking like a team are going to win close to 115 games. Yeah, Larry, Howie Kendrick had his back's been a big issue for him. So that's why he was out of the lineup tonight. So that's really a big issue right here. I think Dusty said tonight it's not a huge deal. I think you just want to give an extra night off. So it's not going to be one thing for you, like put him on the DL or something. I think he'll be back, and you can take your time with Kendrick because you have the big lead. And, yeah, that's a good point because you have the Rhino it's the Rhino against the Pigeon if that were to happen. You got Kinsler with the Rhino. You got the Rally Pigeon. Now you got Rally Cats in St. Louis. It's like the animals like this year. It's like a really good animal theme. Dodgers on pace to become the 2nd team to have more than 115 wins and miss the World Series. I think it's going to be close. I think LA right now on paper, as I said, Judo, I still think they're the better team. And remember, the Nats have to get by the Central winner. I think the Central winner, whoever it is going to be really tough, whether it's the Cubs, if St. Louis is going to keep playing this well, you never want to run up against a really hot team. I know the Nats have been that hot team this year, and they've played extremely well. But St. Louis, they have the playoff track record. Mike Matheny is a pretty good manager. I know he's had his problems this year, but that's not a guy I would want to see the rest of the way. Yeah, especially in a playoff series. So if you want a team, you want Milwaukee, although Pittsburgh, they only traded Tony Watson. When again, you wonder what the Pirates, if they kept Tony Watson, they would have a shot in this division. They did the same thing with Melanson last year, where they're kind of in half buy, half sell mode. It's really weird with the Pirates, what they've done. But we'll see what happens there. And yeah, you don't want the Cardinals to. I think that would bring up really bad memories. At least Pete Kozma's not in the Cardinals anymore. I know it's kind of bad to say Pete Kozma, but we'll leave it at that. Let's take a look at what's going on around the minor leagues today. Rough game for Syracuse. They lost to Indianapolis 3-1, just 2 hits for the Chiefs, but Brandon Snyder hit a home run, his 15th of the season. He's up to 60 RBIs. Not a bad outing for Phillips Valdez. 3 runs, 8 hits over 5. He struck out 1, but he took the loss. Nick Kingham for the Indianapolis Indians, which is the Pirates organization, a complete game 2 hitter. But Austin Adams, 3 strikeouts out of the bullpen in an inning of work. Harrisburg earlier today beat Bowie 6-3. Greg Ross got the win. 7 innings, 3 runs, 6 hits, gave up 3 solo shots. Andrew Robinson got the save. Yadi Hernandez, Dan Gamache, and Drew Ward with home runs in this game. Michael Taylor 1 for 3 with 2 walks and an RBI, hitting just 154 in 3 games with the Senators. Hernandez and Abreu. How about Abreu? Osvaldo Abreu, shortstop, 4 for 4. Yadi Hernandez, 3 for 5. Potomac with the walk-off win over Myrtle Beach today, 9-8. Jack Sumberg, a walk-off 2-run shot in the 9th, 3 RBIs for him. Ian Sagdahl, pair of hits. Dale Carey with 3 runs batted in. Jackson Reitz, a solo shot, his first with the Peanuts. Joan Baez got the start, gave up 2 runs over 6. The win goes to R.C. Orlon, who gave up a run and a hit, an inning and a third. So I think he blew the save because Myrtle Beach scored 4 in the 8th inning. But Potomac did rowdy hit the win. Hagerstown taking on West Virginia, and the Suns beat the Power 3-1. Blake Perkins 1 for 2 with an RBI. You also had Telmino Augustine with an RBI as well. So the Suns get a nice win. Weston Davis, 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits. He struck out 3. And Hayden Howard, 3 shutout innings to get the save. So the Suns, 64-50. Remember, it goes by second half record, so they're in a good position right now in the running for a playoff spot. Auburn took on Connecticut. They lost 4-1. And how about the game for Brandon Baguetto? He hit the solo shot. Auburn only had 4 hits today, but Baguetto is 16 for 34 this month. He's a New York Penn League All-Star. Shortstop, was a draft pick in 2016. He's been off to a great start this year with Auburn, a great run of late. Carter Kieboom 0 for 4 in his rehab assignment. Jackson Tetrold took the loss. 6 strikeouts, give up 1 earned run, 3 runs total, over 4 1/3. So we take a look again at the pitching matchup for tomorrow. It's a rookie for the Giants. Chris Stratton will get the ball 0-2 with a 6.63 ERA. He'll go up against Edwin Jackson, who's 2-2 with a 4.34. And you look at Jackson. Again, he's a guy, I've talked about him a little bit. I've usually, the 2 games that he's pitched well, I've been on the DoDcast for. So I've kind of seen the good Edwin Jackson. Drew and Ron have seen the bad Edwin Jackson. But I thought against the Cubs, after that first inning, did a nice job. He struck out 8 over 5 innings. He's been getting that fastball in the mid-90s. He has a good mixture of pitches. It'd be interesting to see how he goes up against this Giants offense, but he's pitched well at home. I mean, I think you have to give him that much. Outside of the Milwaukee game, pretty good. I mean, he did have a 2.84 ERA in July. Again, the rough first inning in Chicago, but not going to really hold that against him. You're just looking for 5 innings from him. Hunter Pence has an RBI against him in his career, 5 for 20. Denard Span, former Nat, 5 for 20. But Buster Posey has some bad numbers. 1 for 15, 3 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. So I guess he doesn't see the ball off of Jackson well. I like the update with the Norfolk Tides extra innings against Rochester. So thanks, Seth. And the Twins, can't discount the Twins. I kind of don't really go over the American League wild card as much because so many teams in that right now. Of course, you got the Twins still in the mix. Good series tonight, Angels and Mariners. Seattle's in that second wild card, but the Angels are only 2 behind. And Los Angeles is up 1-0. Kansas City, as Seth mentioned, has rallied to make it 7-6. And Baltimore tied with Oakland 1-1 in the first. Yankees did lose to Toronto. So Sonny Gray has yet to win a game as a Yankees starter, and they take on Boston in the District on Deck co-editor bowl this weekend. The Red Sox up 4.5 on the Yankees. So I know the last time the District on Deck bowl, it was a split. Can't be a split this weekend. So Ron or myself will have bragging rights this weekend. That should be a lot of fun. Ron will be back with you guys this weekend as well. So I know you guys have missed Ron, even though I tend to rack up the W's on these DoDcasts. I've now tied Ron in the DoDcast win total. He's 34-23. I'm 34-20. So I still have a few games at hand, which is going to happen. It's just the way it goes. There's no trophy at the end of this, but yeah, the Patriots did lose. It's only preseason. Trust me, only preseason. Tom Brady didn't play today. I don't really worry about it. But Ron will be with you for that. Again, I think the Nats will play well against the Giants this weekend. There's no reason to think otherwise, unless the Nats just have a bad series. But as long as their offense continues to hit the way it's been hitting, there's no worries with this team. And I think you got Scherzer in one of these games. I think the Nats here, they're going to see some margin for the I know they saw him in May, but you got to wonder if there's still a little bit of anger at Samardzija for trying to go after Harper in that brawl in May. So, again, I think the Strickland-Harper storyline will be a lot of fun. Drew's going to write about the storylines for tomorrow for the Giants series. So what do we have up on the site? Well, Ron yesterday wrote about the time to bench Ryan Zimmerman. Well, now he talked about Ryan Zimmerman's great night last night, so we let Ron talk about that. We also had a piece from Ron, as I want to load it, is about Bryce Harper and how his future is his business. There's been so many people speculating about what Bryce Harper might do in a couple of years. You just got to let him play it out. You could worry about it, but there's no sense. I mean, really, it's going to be what Bryce Harper wants to do. And we can't get into Bryce Harper's mind. I also wrote about the Players Weekend jerseys and why they're a fantastic idea. I know Judo didn't like the Scherzer one, but I think there's a lot of good ones too. Yep, Ron is coming off the disabled list. He wasn't. He was fine. Got a nice series up. What we do is we have three of us. Of course, you guys know myself, Drew, and Ron. So one of us usually takes a series off, and the other two do the DoDcasts and the tweets. So this weekend will be Drew's turn. So we'll be here with you for that. I have up on the site tomorrow about Adrian Sanchez, what he's been doing, about the small ball the Nats have played. So you've heard me talk about it so much all week, I decided to put it in article form to hear about that. I also got a chance, and this article will go up in a couple of days. I haven't decided when, but I'll let you guys know. I got a chance to talk to Seth Romero today over the phone, who had a good first start for Auburn. He's going to pitch Sunday against Lowell. Will Crow goes with them tomorrow. Their second-round pick, which looked pretty good for the double days. So we'll talk to them. We got a good podcast hopefully coming up next week with the Auburn Double Days announcer, so you get more info on the Penn League team. A lot of that. And yeah, that's true. I mean, I think nicknames are fun. I love this tweet, though. I got the tweet here from Dan Kolko before I wrap it up. Good one on the job Kinsler, Madsen, and Duo are doing. They're being vicious about it. I like that's a good one. I mean, who knew Brian Goodwin had such a way with words on that, with that tweet? So Goodwin's hitting home runs and putting up good quotes, and that's why we like what Brian Goodwin's doing. So again, a good win for the Nationals, and it was all about the secondary guys. Brian Goodwin with the home run and Andrew Stevenson with a nice sliding catch at the end. As the Nats rally from 2-0 down, they get a great effort from their bullpen, and they win 3-2. Yeah, I do like Aaron Judge's all-rise one, too. I don't think from what I understand, Judo, he did not come up with that one. I think Todd Frazier did. I heard that on the Michael K show, that Todd Frazier picked that one for Judge. So from all of us here at District on Deck, for Drew, for Ron, I'm Ricky Keeler, saying I hope you have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night as the Nats open up the 3-game set with the Giants.